What's up, gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to get into where I would choose to live if I had between 5 and 10K per month, because a gentleman asked me, hey Josh, you've been to over 50 different countries. It's been 10 years. If you had 5 to 10K per month and you weren't super interested in the nightlife, where would you choose to live? And so that is the question I am going to be answering in this video. But before I do, make sure to smash that like button. It costs you nothing and it means the world to me. And if you are new here, I'm Joshua Hall. I talk a little bit about how to make money online so you can travel or move to a better country so you can live like a king and date higher quality women. If that is something that interests you, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Now, with all that said, let's get into the topic at hand. Now, as I previously have mentioned on this channel, I don't even know how many times, I don't have the entire context for what this gentleman was asking. So I am going to give you some considerations that I would personally need to take into account. So how are you earning money? Or if you are in retirement or investments, capital gains kind of things. Those are going to affect your decision because of taxes, especially if you are moving somewhere. So you're, in general, going to be looking at places that have favorable tax treaties and favorable tax regimes. Then, do you want to be on the beach? Do you want to be near the beach? Do you favor Asia, Africa, Latin America, Eastern Europe, Western Europe? What kind of weather are you looking for? All of these things are going to be massive considerations. Also, he told me he is around 40 years old, and so I'm not sure if this is a consideration for him or not, but if you are a business owner, I would not necessarily recommend just going to the best possible place or the most expensive possible places, because I do recommend, if you are a business owner, being able to A, keep more of your money, but B, having the ability to invest more into your business. Now, if you are doing both those things and you still have 5 to 10K per month, here is what I would personally do. Now, keep in mind that I want value for my money. So it doesn't necessarily need to be the cheapest place. And here is what I mean by that. So there's obviously places like Dubai, Singapore, Switzerland that aren't gonna be very cheap, but some of those places, especially a place like Dubai, has pretty good value for your money. But do you want to live in a place that is uninhabitable for 3 or so months of the year? Now, that may not be an issue for some people, especially if you're rotating homes, but these are things that you need to consider. Now, with all that said, and keeping in mind this guy said nightlife wasn't a major concern, here are probably the places that I would look into. And I'm going to start with this one because many of you are going to lose your mind. But the first one would probably be somewhere in Colombia like Bogota. And here is why I say that. The value for your money is absolutely incredible there. Second of all, with 5 to 10K per month, you can live a really, really good life. You could live like a king, dare I say. And then on top of that, this guy said that he doesn't care about nightlife. And I'm taking that to mean that he is probably single and doesn't want to go out. Now, if he's not single, then I definitely wouldn't recommend Colombia unless he is strictly doing P for P. But if you are a not single guy and you're not going to go out, then that greatly reduces a lot of the safety risks in Colombia, in my opinion. It would be a place that I would actually consider being if I didn't care about going out with the women there. But considering it's my channel and I talk a lot about dating, I can't tell people on this channel, oh yeah, go to Colombia, it's super safe, especially if you're a single guy meeting women on dating apps or something like that. In fact, there's something my dad talks about called the 2% rule, where if there's something that's less than a 2% chance of happening, then you shouldn't really worry about it. Now, here's the thing. In Colombia, if you are a single guy not doing P for P and you are dating, especially on dating apps, there is more than a 2% chance, in my humble opinion, that you are going to be targeted for some sort of shenanigans. So with all that said, that would be one place that I would look. Now, I obviously said Bogota, I believe, and Bogota doesn't have the best weather, and then obviously you are dealing with those safety concerns. Now, aside from that, another place I would look into would be a place like Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. This is another place that has insane value for money. For 5 to 10K per month, you can live like an absolute king. You could probably live like an emperor. You are going to have really great amenities. It is going to have some of the heat issues of a place like Dubai, for example, because it's going to get hot and muggy for part of the year. But the food is going to be really great there. The value, once again, is just absolutely insane in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. In general, it is a place that I would highly recommend. Another thing that I should touch on is the ability to go to some of these places obviously depends on the accessibility of having a temporary or permanent residency visa option. And so that is another consideration that I should have mentioned earlier. And depending on your financial status, I'm assuming if you can afford 10K per month, either of these places, you're probably going to have pretty accessible visa/residency options. Both of these places, for the most part, are somewhat tax-friendly. Colombia is significantly less so, but that is another consideration you would have to make. Mexico, another place I would look into for 5 to 10K per month, because once again, you could live like an emperor in these places. And the reason I say this is because you are combining two things here. And that is, one, the strength of the US dollar or the euro. I'm assuming for the purpose of this video that they are using the US dollar. So you're taking advantage of a stronger currency, and you're also taking advantage of a place that has a significantly lower cost of living. I talked to my dad and some other people about this recently, actually. The cost in the United States is this high. Let's just say that. The cost in Mexico used to be clear down here, so far down that you can't even see it on the screen. But now the cost is getting higher. And even with that 20% cost, it's still a fraction of the cost as it was in the United States. So the cost can continue to rise in these lower cost of living places, and even the strength of their currency could rise in comparison to the US dollar, and it still would be much more affordable than most major cities in the United States. And that assumes that the cost of living doesn't continue to rise in the United States, which it obviously most likely will. So that is another thing to keep in mind. Now, that brings me to another place. The places I mentioned earlier in this video. Dubai and Singapore, probably going to be some pretty decent options depending on who you are. Now, many people don't like Dubai for whatever reason, and to each their own, maybe because it's a city in the middle of the desert or what may have you. They may have wrong impressions of Dubai, but it is obviously extremely tax friendly, and it is an extremely safe and clean culture as well. And if you're not too deep into nightlife, there are nightlife options, obviously, but that is not going to be the main appeal of Dubai. It's mainly going to be the safety, the cleanliness, and an all-around booming city. And then I should also mention that you've probably noticed that a lot of these places are the same places that I would go if it were only $2,500 a month or around there. And that's because I find these places to be really great. The thing is, that I already mentioned, that they have a low cost of living. And so just because you have more money doesn't mean you need to go to the most expensive places. You don't need to go to Hong Kong or New York or these other places that have ridiculously high cost of living that, in my opinion, you just don't get much return on your money for. And then finally, I'll give you two more places that I would possibly look into. Once again, it really depends on your situation. That would be Greece, and it would be Italy. I would even put Portugal in there, but as many of you probably may know, I'm trying to get out of Portugal for probably Greece or Italy. And I'm also looking into Saudi Arabia. That's a whole nother topic for a whole different video. But this video is starting to get a little bit long. And since I don't have the proper context, it's hard to make a video specifically on this topic. But those are most of the places that I would look into if I were looking for a place to spend year-round for 5 to 10K per month or so, and nightlife and dating weren't the #1 priorities. Although I would say that all of those places do have pretty considerable nightlife options as well as dating options, with that one strong caveat for Colombia. Alright, so thank you for watching. I truly appreciate it. I will see you guys in the next video. Leave a comment down below letting me know where you would choose to live if you had 5 to 10K per month. And as always, peace, much love.